Welcome to the pod.
Welcome to the pod.
Let's get it, son.
All right, we just got lectured by Dustin Splint for yelling into the mic.
Hey.
So if that was loud for you, we're sorry. Dustin told us, but we purposely didn't listen to him.
This is a Dustin Splint production, okay?
Yep.
And with that, it's kind of like Dr. Dre, right? He doesn't release an album every 2 years. He releases one every 15 to 20 years. But guess what? It's a banger.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So, Splint, Dre, same thing.
Same thing.
Okay.
Let's go.
2 cents with Josh and Spence. Let's get it.
What are we talking about today, Josh?
Well, we're real estate guys.
You could say so.
We're realtors.
Yep, you could say that.
So what we thought might be helpful is like let's talk about, sometimes I feel like people don't quite understand what we do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I figured what we do, maybe we do just kind of walk through.
Oh, you just open doors. You open door, you let people in.
That's it.
You get paid.
That's it. Get paid a ton of money. Open doors.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's exactly like that. We're millionaires.
Yeah.
Opening doors.
There's a hair more to it than that. So yeah, I figured we just take them down the rabbit hole of what the standard, what someone could expect when they're about to buy a home. So, so typically, like when I started in real estate, like I would do an open house, say, right? Someone would come in an open house. See, now you're messing with the Splint production.
Dustin gave me a bad look there.
I don't see.
All right,
we got a crabby.
Should be done now. As long as Dustin gives me a thumbs up, he can hear me. Okay.
I'm so uncomfortable.
Back to it.
All right. It's gonna be 2 cents with Josh pretty soon. So anyway, like I would meet somebody at an open house and be like, yeah, I'm just kind of starting. I'd looking to find something. I'd say, okay, cool. What do you want to find? And so anyway, I would just start showing them houses, right? Mm-hmm. But what I found is like as we continue down the rabbit hole, they'll be like, oh shoot, I didn't, who pays for this, or how much is that, or oh shoot, I wish I would have known, whatever. So then I started doing what we now call like a buyer consultation. It's almost like a first time home buyer class, right? So like sometimes you'll see those where like banks and realtors and home inspectors and whatever like get together with a bunch of people and whatever. So we basically do that for all of our clients just to like set expectations. Because again, like it's real estate, but it's like it's a people business and it's a relationship business. And our goal is to do a fantastic job for everybody that trusts us to help them, right? So we basically set the table and answer a lot of questions and uncover a lot of things before they're an issue, right? To kind of keep people's anxiety levels down. So when they look back and they're telling somebody like, yeah, just Spencer helped me buy a house. It was a nightmare. Or like Spencer helped me buy a house. It was awesome. Like he should be your guy. So basically put together this buyer consultation that walks down the path from like, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house to like, here's the keys. So
I don't think a lot of other agents are doing this. Like I think we're kind of unique in this way. And people have such a better experience when they kind of know what's coming next. If it's all great if you find an agent that you want to work with and they don't do this, but you're really not in the driver's seat then. So I feel like if you can kind of listen to this and know what to expect in the home buying process, you can kind of put yourself in the driver's seat to be able to make the best decisions.
Yeah, and I do think, and I hesitate to put a percentage on it, but yeah, it's certainly not something that all agents do. But I can just speak from my own experience. Like once I started doing this, like the customer experience started increasing quite a bit. Not that it was ever like terrible or whatever, but just so that they're not like, oh shoot, I didn't know I needed $1,000 for that, or where does that go, and what's the home inspection all about? That seems really scary or whatever. So anyway, so kind of the first step in that process. So I meet somebody or somebody's like, hey, my sister's thinking about buying a house. So instead of just, calling her and be like, okay, where do you want to be? Whatever. We first set up a time to meet in the office so we can kind of go over all of these things. So usually step number one is to like hire a realtor, right?
Yep.
And so whenever anybody comes in the office, like the first thing basically that I always say is like, we want to make sure that we're a good fit, right? Because quite frankly, like in Fargo Moorhead or Moorhead Fargo, Moorhead Fargo. There's about Moorhead Fargo. There's about 1,000 agents in Moorhead Fargo, I'd say.
Fargo Moorhead.
So it's one of those things where like there's a lot of people that can help you, right? So one, we just want to make sure that we're a good fit, right? Because we're ultimately going to spend a lot of time together, going to be in communication. So some people there are different. Like probably not everybody's cup of tea. If somebody's whatever, like I might not be them, but a lot of times they come in and be like, oh, he's just a guy and he's super helpful and seems friendly and professional and whatever. So that's kind of the first step, is just like, hey, can I get in a relationship with this guy for the next 45 to 60 days or whatever? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I feel like another thing that I'll point out is, a lot of people think they've got to pay for a realtor when they buy a house. Yeah. And that's one thing that you don't have to worry about, because buyer's agents are paid by the sellers.
Right. So. Yeah, that's one. And I look back to even like when we bought our first house, I would go into open houses and I wouldn't want to talk to anybody, because I was like, I would love some help, but I don't have whatever.
Right.
6% to pay you or whatever, like that misconception in your head. So as a buyer's agent, we are paid by the seller. So whether that is, whether it's just listed with another real estate agent or company, whether it's new construction, so the builder would pay us, or two, even if we find a house that is for sale by owner, so we would negotiate to make sure that we get paid by them. So, our commissions are paid by the seller. So I find that is one thing I like to bring up pretty early on, because then it feels like the buyers, like the shoulders drop a little bit and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Well then, help me.
If you don't know, like, I do the same way. Like, why, like, I don't want to give you X amount of money just to help me find a house and stuff like that. But
or two, like, I don't want to waste your time or whatever. Like, I don't want to enlist your help because I can't pay you.
Yeah, exactly. And I just feel like people don't know about it. So there you go. Now you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you find a realtor, the next thing you want to look at doing is meeting up with a lender to get pre-approved. Definitely recommend using like a local lender, versus like Rocket Mortgage or something, because local lenders use they can look at specials and stuff. Specials are very unique to our area. They can just honestly probably get you a better interest rate anyways, so you can save money. You can have a better experience, somebody you can actually call, talk to on the phone, all that kind of stuff. So
and I say the same thing with the lender, like how we talked about, like making sure that we're a good fit. It's the same thing with the lender, because again, like there's 1,000 agents in town, there's hundreds of lenders or whatever. Rates are going to be about the same, like the annual percentage yield or whatever. One might have a lower rate but a higher this or that or whatever, but it's more so like, who do you want to get in a foxhole with? Who do you want to be in a relationship with for the next 45, 60 days? Who are you going to be confident that will give you a call and answer your call? And then but then too, like you said, the special assessments thing is big, because there's a difference. A lot of times there's some lenders out there, more so like nationwide, that will make it very easy to get pre-approved, so to get the letter to write the offer, but then it's very, very difficult to get the loan actually funded.
Right.
Because then too, kind of like where you were going with that. So we've got special assessments here, which is very local, like hyper local to like our area. And so if somebody's debt to income ratio is like super tight, and then they go to, by the time they find out about specials, well, that's an extra, whatever, $200 a month. Well, it's like, well, guess what? Now your debt to income ratio is too high. And now it's 4 days before closing. Surprise. Now the buyer
can't buy the house.
Now you can't buy the house. Now the seller, it could be a nightmare. And there's like so many things that there's so many uncontrollable things, right? Like any number of things can happen, and we're dealing with humans, and like it's very unperfect, but we do our best as your agent to overcome a lot of these landmines before they even happen. So that's why we encourage somebody to work with the local mortgage lender for sure.
Yep. And they'll be able to tell you which loan is best for you, whether it's FHA, doing a first-time home buyer's loan, or a conventional loan, VA loan, all that kind of stuff. So they're your go-to person for all that. But
so then somebody comes in, they hire us as their agent, and then we put them in touch with the lender. Now all of a sudden they're pre-approved, like they've got that pre-approval letter, that golden ticket to then go out and write an offer.
Which in this market you absolutely need. Otherwise, nobody's even going to consider your offer.
100%. So the next step, and this is the fun part, is then, so now we go find a house. Now it's time to go shopping. So whenever we're working with someone, we bring them in for this buyer consultation. Then part of doing that, we have them fill out a get to know you form, so we get to know them as people. But then too, what are you looking for? And then while they're sitting in front of us, we set them up on a multiple listing search that meets their criteria. So then we manually we'll email them all the homes on the market that match their criteria. But then in the future, as soon as something new hits the market that matches that criteria, they get notified of it right away, which is super important in this market because, we just don't have the luxury of time to be waiting around. So we always set some people up on that multiple listing search, but then people, we always tell people feel free to continue to use Zillow or Realtor.com or whatever you're comfortable using if they've got an app that you like. But just keep in mind that those aren't always as up to date as the MLS. So a lot of times people,
Yeah. Houses are selling in 1 or 2 days. So if that house doesn't come on Zillow in, that first day that it's listed, you might miss out on it. All the time I have clients sending me houses from Zillow and they're like, can we go view this? And I'm like, oh, they actually accepted an offer yesterday.
100%.
And they're like, well, it just came on the market today. No, it didn't. So
it just came on Zillow.
Definitely recommend, getting the MLS app. It's much more up to date.
Yeah, no doubt. And then too,
your agent will be able to help you out with that too. So
and then too, that's a living, breathing thing too. So you get a portal, so you could play around much like Zillow and these other things. But if I tell people all the time, if you want to, we decided we wanted to kind of shrink our budget a little bit, or we decided, we need to have gas forced air. We didn't have that on there, so I don't want to see home. It can be as you get out in the market and start seeing stuff, because that's a big part of what we do is provide clarity to help you guys make a better decision. So, but then from there, it's time to start getting out and looking at houses. So, in this market, we don't have the luxury of time. So right now it's more like a house hits the market, boom, we got to go look at it. We got to go look at it right now and then make a decision. And that too is part of the beauty of us having this conversation up front before emotions get involved, right? So it's
yes,
you know what I mean? So it's not okay, well, do we really want to buy this house? Could we live with not having central air, or is it okay if it doesn't have a fence? Well, let's talk about it now so that when the time comes, it's an easier decision to make. Because then too, if you make a good informed decision based on what you really need, then you're going to have less of that buyer's remorse. Be like, oh, did I jump into this too fast, sort of thing. So. Yeah. But then too, feel free to go to open houses, all that type of stuff. So we're just getting out looking at homes.
So once you find the home that you like, it'll come time to put in the offer. And full disclosure, I always tell people this, when I meet with them, in this market, you might lose out on a couple offers before you win one. Yep. It's just that competitive. But just things that you're going to need on the offer that us as agents need to know while we're writing it, names on the title. So is it just you? Are you married? Are you both going to be on the title?
Is it a business?
Yep.
LLC
is it a business,
or something?
LLC, stuff like that. Yep. Purchase price. What we look at a lot here is days on market. So if this place has only been on the market for 1 or 2 days, we've got to offer them asking price or even more, especially if there's multiple offers.
Right. The question is not how much less can we offer? It's how much over asking should we go in this market right now.
Exactly. And, if it's been on the market for 30 days, 60 days, then we can maybe beat them up on the price a little bit. But that's just something that, we as agents watch. So, but then closing day, this is one that we look into too. Maybe they've got a new build that they're building and they want to move in 6 months.
Right.
Then if we can match that up, that just makes your offer a lot stronger.
Much more attractive. Typically, when we go to write an offer, we'll call and say, hey, what's an ideal close date for your seller? And usually they just say as soon as possible. So that's generally 45 days.
Right.
Because, and we'll get into why, but typically 45 days. But sometimes they might say, well, actually, we're closing on new construction. We love to line up the close dates the same day. So if you guys don't mind closing until X, that would make your offer much more appealing to us.
Mm-hmm. Other things we need to know, like, are we doing an inspection? This is kind of a big one. So in today's, like, I always recommend to do an inspection, but in today's market, a lot of people, like, that's the first thing that they'll waive to make their offer stronger. Mm-hmm. And, we kind of talked about it in a previous episode, but, that's just much more attractive to a seller because, again, they don't know what's in their attic. They don't know what will come up in an inspection that might cause issues. So I see a lot of people waiving the inspection or even getting an inspection before we even put in the offer so that you can make your offer not contingent on an inspection. And that way a seller knows that they're not going to have any issues there. Mm-hmm. But then another thing is earnest money. So a lot of people aren't familiar with earnest money. Do you want to talk on that a little bit?
I really do. I really do. Yeah. So typically, with earnest money, it's kind of like your security deposit on the house, right? Typically like 1% of the sales price. So if we're looking at a $300,000 house, you, the buyer, would write a check to the seller broker for $3,000, and then that money would sit in that broker's trust account. Once we get to closing, that money would get credited to you. So say if your cash to close was $10,000, but you've already given them $3,000, so now you'll need to bring $7,000 to closing. But it's basically like a sign of good faith to the buyer, saying like, hey, as long as the contingencies that we put in this offer, such as making it contingent on the home inspection, contingent on financing, those are the two biggest ones. Sometimes contingent on seeing a couple other docs if it's like a homeowner. So anyway, as long as those get met, we're going to buy this house.
Yeah.
So it's basically the buyer's skin in the game. Because imagine like putting yourself in the seller's shoes, right? So you put your house on the market, all of a sudden 40 days has gone by, and now you have got an offer on a different house or a different.
You're ready to move into your next place.
You got movers, you got all this logistical stuff, and then the buyer's like, hey, I decided I wanted to buy that house next door.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro. It's like, well, that's exactly what that earnest money is for, is to kind of protect that. So, and the kind of the joke, but it's a real thing. Like once we get past the home inspection period with buyers, quit looking at houses.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because it never fails. I mean, it happened to me. We built a house, and as soon as we as soon as we got done, like another builder released their plan that was in our budget. We're like, ooh, I like that.
Oh yeah.
But
grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah, buddy.
You're always gonna, and it comes back to that like buyer's remorse thing too. Mm-hmm. Like it's a real thing. When you buy your first house, you're gonna be very nervous. You're gonna continue to look at other houses, and if you do that, it's like, well, crap. Should I have bought this other house instead? Like this one's $2,000 cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like once you get engaged, like you get off Tinder. Right?
Yeah, you should.
You should. Yeah, that's for another pod.
Yeah, that's another pod. But then, like the last thing that we need to write an offer is that golden ticket, like we were talking about, your pre-approval letter, because, like I said before, no seller or selling agent is going to even look at your offer without you being pre-approved in this market.
100%. 100%.
100.
All right, so. You hired your realtor, we got you pre-approved, we found the house, we wrote the offer, we sent it over to the selling agent, so now we're going to be negotiating terms. So in the market that we're in right now, it's less of, like historically, say the house is $250, it's like, well, $250, we'll give you $240, and then you, the seller, pay $5,000 of our buyer closing costs.
Yeah.
And then we meet in the middle somewhere or whatever. So right now it's more like there's a real estate meme where it's like, bring me your highest and best offers or whatever. So, and that's what it is. So, seller gets 4, 5, 6, sometimes many, many more offers. And basically they pick one. You can only ride one horse, as they say. So,
yep.
Typically they accept an offer and then deny the rest. But if there is any type of negotiation, like the biggest one, of course, would be price. That whole like meeting in the middle thing, or trying to find a price that works. But some other stuff that are pretty common to get negotiated would be inclusion. So Seller wants to take the washer and dryer or the pool table or the hot tub or whatever, but the buyer wants those to stay. So those get written in and negotiated.
Yep.
But sometimes, like we were alluding to earlier, maybe the buyer wants to close in 45 days, but the seller's like, hey, can we close in 70 days? Because that will just be more convenient for us. And we just kind of go back and forth. But again, that's where you want a strong agent to negotiate, the best deal on your terms, the best terms for you. But then once we're all in agreement, all the parties sign off on the purchase agreement. So now we've got a fully executed purchase agreement. Boom.
Just like that. You're done. No, just kidding.
Are we?
We're not done. So next step, once you have that, if you chose to do an inspection, if you were able to write in your offer that you're able, that you want to do an inspection and they allow it, good on you.
Hey, well
good
done.
on you.
Well done.
But this is the time where we do that inspection. So usually it's like 10 to 14 days. You get a period after your offer is accepted.
Yeah.
And you've got to have your inspection done in that time. And also if you want like anything fixed, you've got to have all those negotiations done before your period is up.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the way it's written into the contract.
Yeah.
So usually it'll say, buyer elects to do a home inspection. This purchase agreement is contingent on that inspection and the inspection and all other inspections and everything basically must be agreed upon within X amount of days, which is typically 14 days.
And a way to make your offer stronger is to do less of an inspection period. So maybe we can do it within a week. If you know an inspector who can get in there soon, that just makes your offer better. So, but during this inspection, really what you're looking for is like the major issues. Do all the shingles need to be replaced? Is the furnace broken? Is there foundation issues?
Yeah.
That's stuff that's really going to affect you living in the home. So you want to know about that before you even buy it.
Right.
So, maybe we can get that stuff fixed or get money off the purchase price because of it. Or if it's too big of an issue, you can back out and get that earnest money back. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of inspectors look at every inch of the house. So they're going to mark like chips in the paint and stuff. If the carpet is all shaggy, they're going to mark that. But we're not worried about that because we knew about it when we first viewed the house. So
right. So yeah, again, the home inspection period, that's for more of like those big ticket safety and function items. Like this, it either works or it doesn't. And they're for things that, and I call it kind of like you can't double dip, right? So say in a normal market, you're like, this carpet is trash and needs to be repaired or replaced, whatever. So then you offer them $5,000 less or whatever that number is. You can't then go back and be like, hey, the inspector says the carpet is trash. You know what I mean? Like, so give me another $5,000 off. It's not that. So that's more of like the inspector's going to get on the roof and in the attic. He's going to check the foundation, all that type of stuff that we didn't account for when we wrote our offer.
I'm not getting in the attic during showings, are you?
No, not in the summertime. Not in the summertime, pal.
Should be. No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But basically, you'll come up with like a list of what you want fixed. Maybe you want the dishwasher fixed. You want, you want a firewall put in place, something like that. Yeah. You put it on what's called an inspection contingency removal. You send that over to the sellers, and basically it's another time to negotiate. Maybe they offer to fix both. Maybe they offer to fix one. Maybe they're unwilling to fix anything.
Right.
Just another time to negotiate. So, but once everyone agrees on what's going to be fixed and what isn't going to be fixed, we all sign this inspection contingency removal.
And then that does just that. So it removes that inspection contingency, right?
So stop looking at houses.
Quit looking at them houses. Put that phone down.
Yep.
All right. So
Zillow is addicting to just scroll through and look at other people's houses.
I get it. That's how they get you. Yeah. No, so everything up to this point can happen pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially in today's market.
For sure. And sometimes people will come in and they'll be like 6 months out before they start looking or whatever. But once they start looking, it can be boom, 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 right? So we see a couple houses, we write the offer, get it accepted, we get the home inspected, all that stuff moves pretty quick. But it still takes 45 days in total, generally, to close. And the biggest reason for that is we're waiting on the appraiser.
Yeah.
So the appraiser is someone that is hired by the bank to verify the value of the house. Okay. So imagine you get a house for $250,000. Okay. So the bank's going to send out this dude.
Or gal.
This human.
That's better.
That was Shame on
2022. Dude.
Shame on
you.
shame on me.
You're disgusting. You're
Wow.
a pig.
I was trying. Oh, wow, wow. So the appraiser is going to send out a human to verify the value of the house. So you buy it for $250. The appraiser, this man or woman,
says it's worth
$255. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. We got a good deal. We got some instant equity.
Yep.
Well done, realtor. On the flip side, if instead of $250 or $255, he says it's worth $245,
less than what you offered.
less than what you offered. So now all of a sudden that's another negotiating piece, because the bank is only going to lend you up like based on that 245 number.
Yep.
So if the appraisal does come up short, then it's another negotiating piece, because we got to determine where that difference is going to come from. So is the seller just going to come down in price? Is the buyer just going to say, okay, whatever, I'll pay the difference in cash? Or are we going to meet in the middle? Something like that.
Yep. And it's really it's there to protect the buyer from overpaying for a house, because the bank doesn't want to overpay for a house either.
100%.
So it's definitely in the buyer's benefit.
Yep. So that's basically like it was kind of what they say. We do our best to protect you from overpaying and buying a piece of junk, right?
Yep.
And we do that through inspection, appraisal, our expertise, etc.
Yep. So while all this is going on, this is also a good time, now that things are kind of starting to slow down, we're just waiting for that appraiser to get there, waiting for closing. Go check out different insurance agencies, see which policy works best for you, but you'll want to give whatever policy you choose to your lender, because they can kind of work that into your monthly mortgage amount, so that you're comfortable with your payment.
Yep. So, yeah. So your lender is going to want to know exactly what that payment is, because then they set up an escrow account, which basically is how your monthly payments get made. So insurance, but then it's also like a good opportunity, because it's one of those big life events that they talk about, like a financial planner would talk about. Like you get married, you have kids, you buy a house. Like it's a big life event that kind of changes your financial needs. So it might be a good idea to talk to a financial planner. Do I have adequate life insurance? Am I still saving enough money? All that type of stuff. And that's not my game, but I know enough to know that it's important. So it's just a good opportunity, a good reminder to.
I recently got life insurance. Wild how cheap it is. It's like you take your girlfriend out one less time a month, and you can afford life insurance.
What if
it's
you
like
don't?
$20?
What if you don't take her out at all? Not gonna be your girlfriend too long. But no, especially young.
Make her pay for it one time.
It's 2022.
Yeah.
But young, especially the younger you are, the healthier you are.
Yep.
Especially just and I'm not even gonna try and get in the weeds in different types of insurance, but the younger and healthier you are, the less expensive it is. So again, during this time, this is kind of like the don't section. So the example I always use, kind of getting like what we talked about earlier. You get pre-approved, but you can't get that final approval. So this is not the time to get a new vehicle, right? Because all of a sudden the lender is going to re-pull credit. They're going to re-verify your income. They're going to re-verify you're still working where you're working. So if all of a sudden you got a new job, or you've got a $400 pickup payment, or whatever they are.
What if it's a cool pickup though?
Well, then get it after you buy your house, so that you can put your cool pickup in front of your cool house. Otherwise, you can put your cool pickup in front of your cool apartment. So yeah. But if that would happen, all of a sudden now your debt to income is off, and now the bank's like, "Hey, sorry, pal, can't do it.
Can't do it.
So and then too, so a lot of times people will, like first time home buyer, they will get a gift fund from somebody, like mom or dad or somebody will give you 10 or 20 grand to put down on your new house. So they just want to document that. So you can't just have like large sums of money coming in and out of your account.
It's a little sketchy.
It's a little sketch, pal.
Yep.
I don't know.
Where's this money coming from?
What's going on here?
But then kind of one of the last steps is a final walkthrough. So usually, like with my clients, I like to do it the night before, because if we asked for anything to be fixed, let's go in there and make sure that they actually fixed it.
Yep.
And then if they didn't, we've got time to get them back in there and fix it like they said they would.
Yep.
So, but basically what this is for is exactly that. Make sure they clean the place. I always tell people everyone's version of clean is different. Like I just move things from one spot to another, My fiance Kenzie hates it.
Right.
Shout out Kenzie.
Shout out.
Thank
you, Kenzie.
But then making sure everything's fixed, making sure that they left the washer and dryer like they said they would, stuff like that. So
right.
But then if everything looks good, we head over to the title company and basically sign a bunch of papers.
All the papers.
Stretch your wrist because it's a lot.
Yep. Yep. So the lender is going to tell you in advance, like, okay, this is how much money you need to bring to closing. So this is the check amount. This is how you write it to, and it's got to be a cashier's check, like certified funds. It can't be a personal check that could bounce, right? And then you bring your photo ID. So bring your photo ID, your cash to close, sign a ton of papers, and then congratulations, you're a homeowner. Easy peasy.
Boom. Just like that, you're a homeowner.
Yeah, buddy.
So anything else you want to add to this episode? I think it's been a long one.
I just appreciate you and Dustin so gosh darn much.
I appreciate you and how handsome you look
not as
right
much
now,
as
dude.
I appreciate you.
You guys should see. I wish Dustin could be on camera.
He's got the coolest earmuffs on his head right now.
Oh, he looks so cool right now.
They're red and black. Son.
You're the man, dude.
Thank you, Dustin.
All right.
Hey, well
Let's
done.
wrap it up here.
Well done.
Watch for deer.
Shake a bug. Hey, 2 cents of Josh's pence. See you
right.
next time.